Hey everyone, and welcome back to Allison Knows. I am so glad you could join us for another deep dive in understanding the word today.
Absolutely.
We are going to be looking at something pretty amazing today.
Oh, yeah.
So if you have your Bibles,
Yeah.
I would encourage you to get them out and turn with us to Matthew chapter 14.
Yes, Matthew
And
14.
we're going to be looking specifically at verses 16 and 17.
Very, yeah.
And this is a really familiar passage, I think, for a lot of people.
Oh, definitely.
But there's always something new to be gleaned, even from stories that we think we know.
That's so true.
So in this passage, just to kind of set the scene, Jesus has been teaching and healing.
Right.
And the crowds, they just keep growing and growing.
Yeah, they just follow him wherever he goes.
And it gets to a point where it says there are about 5,000 men,
5,000 men.
besides women and children. So we're talking about a huge crowd.
Yeah, a multitude.
And as it starts to get late, the disciples get a little bit anxious.
Well, yeah, anybody would be a little anxious in that situation.
Yeah. They're like, okay, we're out here in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
It's getting dark. What are all these people going to eat?
They probably don't have a grocery store nearby.
Right. And so they go to Jesus and they're like, send the crowds away so they can go into the villages and buy themselves some food.
Which seems pretty logical.
Right. I mean, that seems like the practical solution. But
Mhm.
Jesus says something really interesting. He says, you give them something to eat.
Whoa.
And I love how the disciples respond.
Yeah.
They're like,
Okay.
we have 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish. What are we going to do with that?
Yeah, it's not going to feed anybody.
Like, how is this even possible?
That's exactly it, though. That's the whole point, isn't it? It's like, it seems impossible, right?
Totally.
It seems completely impossible, but Jesus is asking them to do something
Yeah.
with what they have.
Right. And I think that's something we can all relate to, right?
Oh, absolutely.
We look at our own lives, our own dreams, our own goals,
Yeah,
and we think, oh, I don't have enough.
right.
I don't have enough time. I don't have enough money.
I don't have enough
I
experience.
don't have enough resources. I don't have the right connections.
Yeah, or I don't have enough talent.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
whatever it is, there's always this feeling of lack.
Yeah. And that feeling of lack can be so paralyzing.
It can really hold you back.
It keeps us from even taking that first step.
But this story, it reminds us that God doesn't call us to do things without equipping us.
Oh, it's good.
He doesn't expect us to come up with everything on our own.
Yeah.
He's not saying, okay, go out there and figure it all out by yourself.
Right.
He's saying, I'm with you.
Right.
I'll provide what you need.
Mm-hmm.
Just trust me and take that step of faith.
So what do you think is the significance of those 5 loaves and 2 fish?
Well, I mean, on the surface, it's not much, right?
Yeah, it's basically a kid's lunchbox.
Right. It's like a snack for one person.
Right.
But I think it represents what we bring to the table. Our seemingly small resources, our talents, our efforts, even our willingness to be used by God.
Mm-hmm.
And when we surrender those things to Him, He can take them and multiply them in ways we could never imagine.
So it's about letting go of our limited perspective
Exactly.
and trusting that God can do more with our little than we could ever do with our lateral.
And you know, it's not just about material things either.
That's true.
It's about our time, our energy, our
Yeah.
ideas, our compassion,
Anything we have to offer.
anything that we're willing to give to Him to be used for His purposes.
So we're thinking about the listeners right now,
Yeah.
and they were listening to this, and they're like, okay, I get it.
Mm-hmm.
There's this concept of multiplication,
Yeah.
but how do I actually apply this to my life?
Right. Well, think about it this way.
Okay.
What are your 5 loaves and 2 fish?
What do I have to offer?
Exactly. What are the things that you have that maybe you're discounting
Yeah.
or you're overlooking?
Yeah. Or I think are insignificant.
Yeah, because you're comparing them to what other people have.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or you're thinking, oh, it's not enough.
Right.
But what if it is enough?
What if it's exactly what God needs?
What if it's exactly what God needs to do something amazing?
Okay, so I've identified my 5 loaves and 2 fish.
Oh,
Now what?
well, now it's time to offer them up.
Like actually do something with them.
Right. It's not enough to just recognize them.
Right.
We have to be willing to put them into action.
So give me an example.
Okay. Let's say you have a passion for writing,
Okay.
but you've always told yourself, oh, I don't have time,
Yeah.
or I'm not good enough.
Or nobody would want to read what I write.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
your 5 loaves and 2 fish, in this case, are your passion,
Okay.
your creativity,
Yeah.
your willingness to put words on paper.
Okay, so how do I multiply those things?
Well, start by carving out even just 15 minutes a day to write.
Okay.
Don't worry about perfection. Just write.
Just get it out.
Yeah, just let the words flow and see what happens.
So I'm trusting that that small act of obedience will somehow lead to something bigger. Right. And it might not happen overnight,
Yeah.
but as you consistently show up and offer your gifts,
Mm-hmm.
you'll start to see that multiplication happening.
Okay, so what might that look like?
Well, maybe you connect with other writers online.
Okay.
You find a community that encourages you and supports your growth.
Yeah.
Or maybe you take a writing class and you learn new skills.
Or maybe I actually finish that book I've always wanted to write.
That's it. Or you
Yeah.
get your work published.
Whoa. Okay, I'm getting excited now.
Right. It's amazing what can happen when we take those small steps of faith.
So it's not about having all the answers from the beginning.
Oh.
It's about trusting that God will guide us and provide for us as we go.
And that he can take our small offerings and turn them into something extraordinary.
I love that. So to wrap this up, I think the big takeaway here is that we don't have to wait until we have everything figured out to make a difference.
Absolutely.
We can start right now with what we have,
Right where you are.
right where we are.
With what you have.
And trust that God will multiply our efforts.
And that he'll use us to bless others in ways we could never have imagined.
That's so good.
Yeah.
So as you go about your day this week,
Yeah.
I want to encourage you to think about your own 5 loaves and 2 fish.
Yes.
What are the gifts, the talents, the resources that you have that you can offer to God? And what is one small step you can take today to put those things into action?
Because even a small step taken in faith can lead to amazing results.
So true. Thanks for joining us for another deep dive on understanding the Word today.
It's been a pleasure.
Be sure to like and subscribe to the Allison O's channel on YouTube
Yes.
and follow allisonos.jiski.social, and we'll see you next time.
See you next time. Bye. Bye.